So I told you earlier that SSH comes in two different versions, SSH-1 and SSH-2. As I mentioned earlier, these two versions are incompatible. They don't speak the same language. Newer versions of Cisco iOS will support both versions of SSH, while older iOS versions 12.3.4 and below will only support SSH version 1. So why the hell do we see SSH 1.5 and SSH 1.99? Well, the answer to that is that's a Cisco invention. What it's saying is when you see SSH 1.5, that session at least supports version 1 only. So I don't know why it couldn't just be SSH 1.0, but whatever. If you see SSH 1.99, what that's telling you is that it supports both. It's going to support SSH 1 and SSH 2. Now you can specify on your device to only allow SSH version 2, and if that were the case, you would see SSH 2.0, I suppose. I think it's 2.0. Yeah, SSH 2.0. Takeaway from this is that SSH 1.5 means version 1, SSH 1.99 means version 1 and version 2 are both supported. Okay, and here we see this in action. Going to connect from R2 to R1. I'm so used to saying I'm going to Telnet from R2 to R1. I'll probably make that mistake if I haven't already made it in this lesson. Actually, I'm going to SSH from R2 to R1. I'm not going to specify an SSH version. That's another argument that you can add to this, and we'll see this in just a second here. So this is just my default, SSH. I'm specifying packetlab as my username, and that's simply because I'm not logged in there, blah, blah, blah. So we get on R1, we've connected successfully, and we do a show SSH. That's one of our verification commands. We see the version is 1.99. As I just told you, that means that it supports both SSH-1 and SSH-2. No SSH version 1 server connections are running, so really it's running version 2. So here I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to specify to use version 1, and that's that argument there. So a -v lets you specify the version. I'm going to connect to R1, and it's interesting because you do a show SSH, it shows you slightly different output. It doesn't have all of this, the encryption, the HMAC. Well, it does have encryption, I'm sorry. It doesn't have the HMAC, but I digress. It doesn't show in and out either. Stop it now. What it's showing you is that you're using version 1.5, and as I told you, that means you're using version 1. It tells you that no version 2 server connections are running. So just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, but I'm going to specify use version 2, and we get on here and we can see here the version is 2.0. No SSH version 1 server connections are running. So this is just hammering home that 1.99 means SSH-1 and SSH-2 are supported. 1.5 means it's using SSH-1, and 2.0 obviously using SSH-2. So there are a few restrictions when you're configuring SSH. I've got them listed here. I'm not going to go over the first two. You can read those on your own. The last one says the login banner is not supported with SSH version 1. It's supported with SSH-2. And that is true. It's actually just the tip of the iceberg, though. So banners are blocks of text that are presented to a user when they are accessing different parts of the Cisco iOS. The big ones are really the MOTD, which stands for Message of the Day banner, and then the login banner. To a lesser extent, the exec banner. The exec banner is presented when you actually get an exec prompt once you've already logged in. So in most cases, when you're implementing SSH, you're going to be migrating from an environment that already supported Telnet. And a lot of times with the banners, what this is it's a piece of legalese that your law department has given you and said, hey, you need to slap this on your devices so that if somebody hacks this device or attempts to hack this device, we have the legal ammo to say, hey, we had text up there that said that you were messing with our network, and we can go through their pants off or whatever. A lot of the times these are given to you from the legal department, and you have to have them on there. Could be part of your security audit, actually. So if you have an environment that supports Telnet and then you switch it to SSH, it actually changes the order of presentation of these banners to users that are logging in. So if we take a look at Telnet, the login and the MTOD banner are displayed before logging into the device, and then the exec banner is displayed after logging in the device when you get the exec prompt. That makes sense. Now, we had told you in bullet point 3 that with SSH-1 the login banner is not displayed. So right there, that's a red flag, because if you're using a login banner to warn off would-be hackers, it's not going to be displayed if you're running only SSH version 1. So you would probably have to use the MOTD. But the problem with that is that now instead of being displayed before they log in, it's being displayed after they log in. And that's the same way all across all these SSH versions.